Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. I'm the founder of the Powerful Women Rising community for female entrepreneurs looking to start, grow, or take their business to the next level. If you want more information on the community, check the link in the show notes. I also host a monthly virtual speed networking event that is super fun, and we would love to have you. So I'll put that link in the show notes as well. Today, I am interviewing Jasmine Holmes, the pricing queen and design superwoman. She is the teal-clad foodie who is super passionate about pricing and business for creatives and business owners. In her opinion, almost every business owner she's ever met is discounting their worth before they even serve their genius, and she is passionate about changing that recipe for success. Can I get an amen? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You're the one undercharging. I should be looking in a mirror while I say this. This is such a great episode digging into how to set your prices, why we're so afraid to raise our prices, and how money confidence affects pricing. Please enjoy my interview with Jasmine Holmes, the pricing queen. Hello, Jasmine. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am absolutely thrilled to be here.
Yeah, so excited to have you. Good morning, where you are.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to me. We are talking today about pricing, which is kind of a taboo topic. I think people maybe don't love talking about pricing, especially those people who have the little voice in the back of their mind that are like, I don't think you're charging enough. Or the voice in the back of their mind that are like, I can't believe you're charging that much. So we're going to dig into all of that today. But before we launch into that, tell everybody just a little bit about you and about your relationship with pricing.
Yeah. So I definitely fall into the camp of a recovering pricing perfectionist. So a lot of the time that I was creating and designing as a graphic designer, as a freelancer, when you're learning how to perfect your craft, when you're studying and when you're trying to get better at the design side of things, you're aiming for perfect, right? Mm-hmm. You're aiming for the best, the most hits the brief, most answers the need. And then you've got pricing. Now, pricing is it's different. It's not the same as creativity. It's not the same as that side of things where you're trying to get the perfect price or the perfect number or the perfect this, that, and the other. Pricing for me is a little bit of play, and it's the only way that I've found, the best way I've found that I can approach pricing in my own business as well as helping others with their pricing is pricing your creative skills and pricing the output of your creative skills needs to be approached as much of a creative process as the stuff that you're creating for it. So how can you try and package it different? How can you serve it differently? How can you try something and try and put a price on it, put it out there and see what happens? It's kind of like we've started in art class, but now we're moving into science and we're just having a bit of a play.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that because that helps us not take pricing so seriously. I think we get in our own heads so much about am I charging enough? Am I not charging enough? Are people going to get value for this? Is this going to be worth the value? Is this going to allow me to make 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever my goal is? We get all in our heads. And what you're saying is just chill out about it a little bit. Let's just play with it and just try things and see what works.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay, imagine that you're standing in front of a buffet. You have gone away on a holiday, you have come down for breakfast in the morning, and you're standing in front of the breakfast buffet, and there is so many choices. There is so many different ways that you can fill the hunger that is breakfast. Wouldn't you, in that situation, try something that you've not tried before? Wouldn't you, in that situation, say you've never had an omelet? Or you've never had the fancy eggs, or you've never had one of the things that's being offered up or offered up for you to try. Why wouldn't you try it and then see if you can then take that that new food or that new discovery that you've had, take it home with you after your holiday and continue your life on it. And I kind of like to think of like that with trying different ways of pricing, trying different strategies of pricing. It doesn't always have to be dollars for time. It can be project-based. It can have a sprinkle of value-based pricing in there. Maybe you could consider, okay, what would retainers look like, or subscriptions look like, or product pricing? There is so many different ways that you can price different things that it doesn't have to be, this is the way that you need to do it, or this is the only way. There's so many different ways. So why not try the lot?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great analogy. So where should we start with pricing our offers? Because to me, sometimes it feels like, are we just picking arbitrary numbers and like, okay, I guess this is $47 because someone told me every price should end with a 7, or like I'm going to ask you about that later. Or like, I guess this is 6 weeks long, so it should be $600. I don't know. Like, where do we start?
Yeah. So start with actually making money. Like, I know it sounds really, really obvious.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Making money. Because if we start anywhere else, we've probably got an expensive hobby. And I don't know about you, but I've got enough expensive hobbies. I've got a box in the garage here that just says Jasmine's cross stitch phase. That did not make me money. That brought me neck pain. And enjoyment. But also, like, if you're wanting to put a price on something or starting with your pricing, you need to start by understanding what your own numbers are. And so what expenses you have, how much money you actually want to be making per year, the time that it takes to be able to do what you need to do, and know and understand the value of your time. So say, for instance, if you look at something and it's like, oh, that's going to be 10 hours of my time, I've got no idea what my time is worth. My time is worthless and pointless. I am Amy Santiago in early years of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. My time is worthless. It's pointless. Let's not start with there, because it's probably going to be a pretty bad business model. Not going to really make you 3 figures, 2 figures. It's not going to do that for you. So when we start with pricing, we need to understand the value of our time, and then we need to understand what problem we're solving. So there are some problems out there that are more monetarily valuable to you and to the client to be solved. So this is where you need to start kind of shifting your mindset of like, it's not a logo, it's an opportunity for that business to look more professional, to make more money. So therefore I should too. And starting with understanding that this is a business, you are here to make money, and you're not asking for money from the client. You're informing them of the cost to work with you, to work with your genius, to be given access to the solutions that you provide as a creative and as a creative professional. Because guess what? Professionals get paid, babe. Like, professionals get paid. You look at some of the people who are like traditional professionals, doctors, lawyers, bigwigs, Gary Vee, like, they all get paid. And they get paid because they understand the value of not only their time, but their skill and what they're providing and the solutions to the problems they're solving.
Yeah, 100%. And I believe, my impression is, they have much less mind drama about it. Like, I feel like I've never gone to the doctor's office and had them been like, I'm really sorry. It's okay if you don't have it, but it's a $25 copay if you're like willing to pay that. But if you're not, that's also totally fine. We can still see you and help you. It's good. So whatever you want to do.
So let's look at that side of things. Like, if you're sitting there across from that doctor, how confident are you in their skills? Like, right. How much are you like, oh, I'm going to go somewhere else? Is that stethoscope real or is it plastic? Did Fisher-Price make that stethoscope? What's going on? So, if you're sitting there thinking that you are doing your clients a favor by being cheap or being like, oh, if it's okay, you know what? You pay when you're ready. No, be a professional. Come on. Like, the confidence that you exude gives them confidence in your ability to solve their problems. So why not show up and say, hey, this is the cost to work with me, and understand that they have plenty of other options. Make yourself the option where you're happy in the equation as well.
Yeah. So good. So why do you think that is so hard for us? Like, I talk to clients a lot about under earning and about raising their prices and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's what you're charging for that. Why do you like, what are the most common reasons that you see that female entrepreneurs in particular have a difficult time charging or charging more for their services?
Well, let's knock the first one right out and say it's fear. We're so fearful of making money. We're so fearful of what making money will do to us as people, as we think that the perception is going to be, oh, she makes lots of money. She's therefore all of the words that they use positively for men and negatively for women. Let's not get on that rant because I will be here for another
whole other episode.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Yeah, I'm so ready. But we're fearful of what the perception is going to be if we do make money. Mm-hmm. We're almost apologetic because we don't feel that we've earned it. Statistically, a lot of self-worth hides right behind the knees of women who are in business. Like, we sit there and we let it kind of buckle us and we kind of go, oh, I'm so sorry that I have to charge you for this. Well, that's business. That's definitely business. So the first thing is fear. We're very fearful that others' perceptions of us and therefore our own perception of us is going to change. Mm-hmm. The second thing that kind of stops us from making money is that we believe that enjoyment or that work is hard, that work is negative, that we should feel negatively about the work that we have to do to be able to earn the money. Mm. So when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing the things that you enjoy, you feel like you have to put a discount code on checkout because you're enjoying yourself too much. And that's bullshit. I'm sorry. But I actually want people around me who enjoy what they do. I want to be surrounded by people who are like, I got to help you today. How great's that? Yeah. I got to make money today. How fantastic's that? Like, it's so contagious as well. I know for a fact with my coach, with some of the students that I work with, as soon as you have a money win or a win that makes dollars, it's contagious to get celebratory around it. I've got very specific people that I share my money wins with because some of them have the mindset that money is good and others have the mindset that money is uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And so that's the third one, is discomfort. Like, money, depending on your money story or your money philosophy, there's a level of discomfort that we find within that territory, I guess. So when it comes to like a money philosophy, it's worth looking at like, what do you feel money does for you in life rather than what dollars make you, or what numbers make you feel good. So instead of it being like, oh, that's a $200 bill, that's a $200 night out. That's a $200 weekend or a single night away. Mm-hmm. Maybe that translates differently to what your client translates to. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there is clients out there that have money put away for the genius that you are and the access to the genius that they can solve problems easier, faster, with less stress by hiring you and paying you. And that, by not putting a dollar amount on that, by holding back and being nervous or being having a lack of confidence around what it costs to work with you, that can stop them from succeeding and stop you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, because it's not just impacting you, it's also impacting the people that you could be helping, but you're not helping because you have all of this pricing drama.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know how many times I've put a high price on something and they've come back on, yeah, okay, no worries. And I'm like, oh, I should have charged more for that.
Did I say 10,000? I meant 100,000.
Yeah, sorry, I missed a zero. How crazy is that? sausage fingers. Oh my goodness. No, but like so many times we sit there and we put a price on something and then we go, oh, I should have charged more. The next thought shouldn't be, I'm bad, I'm worthless, I'm not this. I'm going to learn from this, and next time I'll charge more.
Mm-hmm.
Like write yourself a Post-it note and say, last time I charged this, next time I charge that.
Yeah.
And so you as an entrepreneur, probably a little bit lonely. Same here. The dog looks at me a little bit confused sometimes when I talk to him about pricing. He's like, I don't care how many treats. But when we're sitting there and we're kind of going, okay, I didn't price that right. You need to be your own cheerleader. You need to be the person, unless you've got a coach as well. The next time that you undercharge something or you sit there and go, hey, I should have charged that more, remind yourself to do that. And when you're sitting there and you're going, oh, I told myself that I was supposed to charge more this time, write down some of the reasons why. Like when you're sitting there going, okay, why should I charge more? Well, last time it felt like an empty feeling at the end. Last time it felt like I should have had more in the back pocket. Last time the scope blew out and it was just horrendous. Last time I had to say no to a social occasion because I had to get work done. Last time I had to say no to an opportunity that would have made me more money because I had to get the work done. So give yourself the reasons and the opportunities to change the narrative for the next time. Otherwise, the next client's going to teach you the same lesson, and I don't like repeating lessons.
And the reality is, what I have found during my time in business is that people will find a way to pay for what they want. If they believe that you have the solution to their problem and they want that problem solved that bad, they will pay for it. Like I was a dating coach for 6 years before I transitioned to business coaching. And when I would get on a call with a woman who was like, I've got a pretty good life. Like I like my job. I spend a lot of time with my family. I've got great friends. Everything's really good, but it would be cool to have a man to do this stuff with. I mean, I'm happy without him, but it'd be nice. Those women were not paying. The women that were like, listen, I'm 29. All I've ever wanted was to have a husband and a baby. Time's a ticking. I'm great. And also, I want to find a man yesterday, right? Those are the women that we're paying because they want the solution that you have and they believe you can give it to them and they want it right now.
And what is happening there really specifically is you've got two really different clients who have really different values. So the first one values their life and they're not really discomfort or they don't have discomfort or not uncomfortable in the life that they have enough to change it. Whereas the second one sees the value in the change, sees the value that they actually want to have that life, that what they don't have. And so a lot of the times when it comes to value-based pricing, putting a price on something that the value delivers, the price is in the discomfort. The value is in the deficit of where they are and where they want to be and how badly they want to be there. Now, I'm not saying that we sit there and like be all opportunistic and be like, oh, really? So it's $1 million to get the love of your life. It's not going to be that process, but it's worth understanding that sometimes your time times your rate delivered on a silver platter does not reflect the value that you're serving. And that's where you need to try to adjust and understand and empathize with the clients that you're serving and understand their problems so that you can actually solve them. And that's like a perfect example is, all of those women that came to you could easily go to their girlfriends, and their girlfriends are probably in exactly the same position, giving them shitty advice, giving them free shitty advice, and kind of just, ending up just having a whinge session, and being surrounded by that. Whereas someone who is providing and supplying a service to solve a problem, they're going to be willing to pay.
Yeah. And I think what you said is a really good point too about the values. And we need to keep in mind that there are a lot of reasons that people don't buy, and it's not always because your price is wrong. Like, I think we
Absolutely.
fall into that. Sometimes if we raise our price and then the first person we have a sales call with, they're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. And then we're like, shit, I shouldn't have raised my price. Right. But it may not be that. It may be that they just don't have the same values as the person who is willing to pay that price. It could be a lot of other things. It doesn't necessarily mean something about your price.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like when you've tried a different flavor in your key meal that you cook for the family. Like you've just tried a different spice. And if your 4-year-old spits it out, it doesn't mean it's a bad meal. It just means that it wasn't for the 4-year-old. Yes. It may have burnt off his tongue, but it's fine. It's character building. But when we're trying to sit there and kind of go and please the masses with our pricing, it's not going to work. We need to please ourselves first. We need to be making sure that we're putting food on our table and make it fancy food. Like we don't need to be like having beans and rice. We're not on Survivor, but we're wanting to make sure that we have the life that we're working towards, and you get to decide what dollar figure covers that kind of life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what can we do to start increasing our money confidence so that we can more confidently price our offers?
Awesome. So when it comes to money confidence, there's a few things that I would say are like key. So like I said before, you need to know your dollars. You need to know and understand, what is the dollar value of your time so that you aren't making a loss, so that you can increase over time, so that you can sit there and go, okay, in a year's time, I'm going to increase my rates by this because of this. And understanding that I often say money is just pieces of metal and paper that we've put like value amounts on. It's just Monopoly, but like with real consequences. Yeah. So if you can detach the emotion from it and detach the way that you feel about money dollars wise, and then kind of look at them as a value exchange that is something different. So whether it's a night out, whether it's you're able to send your kids to dance lessons. What does that actually translate into rather than being dollars? Then get familiar with what your money story is. Now, money stories are really, really interesting because I feel like we write a narrative for ourselves, and often we don't feel like we should be the hero. We don't feel like we should be the one who wins. And until you're the one who wins in your money story, you won't win in real life. Mm-hmm. And that sounds a little bit harsh. So let me just massage that out. So your money story might be something that you've sat there and gone, well, my parents didn't make a lot, so I can't. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. If you want to do better than the generation before, that's just the way that should be progressing. You don't want to be comparing yourself to those before you, those next to you, or those in front of you. You're running your own race and you're telling your own money story. So if your money story can change from I'm a freelancer and therefore, or I do art and therefore I shouldn't be making too much. There's only so much an artist can make. If you change that to how, like, I am abundant, I have wealth that I can tap into if I need it. I think it was a little while ago I was saying, be so good that you can't help but make money. Be so confident in yourself, in your abilities, and in your ability to upskill, to become more valuable, to get more confidence, to attract that wealth and attract it from different clients who have different money stories to you, because they do. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to be putting yourself in a better position to be able to be making that money. So getting familiar with your money story and changing the narrative, because no one's going to change it for you, is really important to get that healthy money philosophy. And it's really important that you treat it like a tool to be used, not a thing to work towards. It's to be used to build that dream life that you're trying to create for yourself, not something to then go, okay, I've made 6 figures and now nothing happens.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. If you don't use the money to work towards that wealth and that life that you're building for yourself, you'll have a really big bank account, and have a mentality of a poor person who's sitting there going, I don't have enough. I never have enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I feel like there are so many other questions that I want to ask about pricing, but this is the last one I'm going to ask for today.
Awesome.
Is the whole thing about sevens real?
The whole thing about sevens
should all
real?
of our prices end in 7? Like, is it really bad to have like a round number? Like, oh, this is $200. Should it be $199? Should it be $197?
I do sevens, and I've only done sevens in the last couple of years because when you do round numbers, it feels heavier. When you do 9s, it feels salesy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, only for $19.99. Really? We're going that? Okay, cool.
Thank you for saving me a penny. Yeah. I will definitely buy it now. If it was a penny more, I would not have bought it. But since you gave me a penny off.
It sucks that is literally what happens in our brains. And it also has a lot to do with the familiarity around it. So if you're in a particular industry that does that, so say for instance, I know a lot of courses generally go for $397, $497, $997. Understanding that if that's what your ideal client is familiar with seeing, you need to decide, are you going to be comparative or are you going to do something different, and understanding why. So there's nothing wrong with being comparative if you're trying to create a familiarity and then show that you have more value in that $997 product. Mm-hmm. But understanding also that when you're putting yourself in comparison, you need to be showing where you're valuable. And the psychology does happen within the 7s and the 9s. I've also seen like triplets of like people doing 888 or 444. Money and dollars and numbers do have a certain amount of power, but they can't be the one to be, I guess, put in the driver's seat of your value. You need to define that for yourself. You need to sit there and go, okay, does this feel justified? Does this feel valuable? Is this something that I'm happy to be paid for, or would I rather be napping? And if you were valuing your naps at $1,000 and then you have an opportunity that's underneath that, if you'd rather be napping, just go nap and say no or charge more. And understand that if you're sitting there going, okay, it's $997, therefore it's more valuable, take a step back. It's just not that smoky. It's just not that complex. It plays a role, but it's not the main character.
Oh, so good. So good. So if anybody wants to connect with you further, if they want to dig a little bit more into pricing and everything else that you offer, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Absolutely. So I am generally pretty active on the grams. I am your Pricing Queen on Instagram. Definitely jump over, have a check out there. I also have my website, which is creativebusinesskitchen.com. You probably picked up on all the food puns. I can't help it. It's what I do. And I also have an offer for the listeners today. So if you are someone who wants to either start or revisit the dollar amount that you're putting on your time, I have a free pricing calculator that helps you step through all of the processes to find out that rate. So if you head to creativebusinesskitchen.com/relationship, you'll be able to find that calculator, which takes your salary, adds in all of your expenses and steps you through that process, helps you work out what your billable hours are, because whether we're doing full-time or part-time, that rate might change, and then pops out exactly what dollar amount you should be putting on your time. Served up on a silver platter. You can blame me if someone tells you you're too expensive, and then we can have a conversation about it.
Okay, perfect. Then you can come find me on Instagram and we'll talk.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. I will put the links for all of those, including the pricing calculator, in the show notes. That's an awesome offer. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No, thank you so much. I am down to do part 2. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, next time we'll take on the patriarchy and pricing.
I'm so ready. I'll get my I'll get my knife.
All right, stay tuned for that, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Relationship With podcast. If you liked what you heard, we would love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. If you want more information about the Powerful Women Rising community or about our monthly virtual speed networking event, check out the link in the comments. We'll see you next time.